Ryan Poles strikes early. What's your thoughts? How are you feeling about this, No Maniacs? Let's get it cracking. Yo, 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 No Maniacs, Super No Maniacs, and everybody in between. This is a live edition of Feed the Bears where my guy Triple R popped in with me, man, with the breaking news happening right now. Ryan Poles just struck. He just struck. He struck early, man. The gunpowder is still warm, man. He just made a move for Jonah Jackson, guard, center. That's an important note right there. Guard slash center out of the Rams, man. He's a Pro Bowler from Detroit, and we're gonna get into the particular details about what the contract is, what they're gonna have to pay him, and all that kind of stuff. But the move football wise was, to me, I think it's a good move because number one, we just upgraded that offensive line. Number two, let's get this totally clear. Jonah Jackson is a beast. He's a beast. He's a beast, and he's versatile. And so, I think before, everybody's going to have to say so on this and feel whatever they feel about it. But just know this first. This ain't Ryan Poles. This is Ben Johnson and Dan Rochard giving out marching orders on what they need to get this offensive line stabilized. And he just went out and he executed the trade with his staff. And here we are, man. When he made the first move of the offseason, I'm thinking of probably many. But how you feeling about it, Triple R, so far?
On the level of activity from Ryan Poles, I appreciate the fact that he understands the deficiencies of this team, major of which being the interior offensive line in general. And he's addressing it with a talented, player who's, 28 years old, so he's not old. Along those lines of Poles, he's listening to his head coach, and getting what they want, they need. From the perspective of Johnson and the head coach, they want somebody, and Rochard, O-line coach, want to bring in players that they're familiar with, that know what they like to do and are good. So cool. From the prospect of the compensation, which we'll get into, the price isn't horrible, and the talent that you could have found in that 6th round, Trey Smith was a 6th rounder. They found him there. Why can't we find Trey Smith in the 6th round? But it's okay because basically we just traded Justin Fields for Jonah Jackson. And the negative, though, is his injury history. Because over the course of his career, those games have been going the wrong way as far as played. Negative. So it's like, shit, we got Tevin Jenkins at home. Yeah, I mean,
he only missed 5 and 4 years. That's really good. That's not a lot of football for a guard, man. And I think he missed a lot of them this year. He had some kind of shoulder. Yeah, they was cleaning up his shoulder. I'm not.
Yeah, he played like 4 games all season. Yeah, but just looking at just the and then I'll turn it back over to you. But the attitude of Rams fans are like, ooh, happy to be rid of him. And that's never a good sign when the former team is like, oh, please, we got a 6th rounder for that dude, and we saved that cap space. Good luck with that, Bears. And it's like, yeah, that's why we're not signing Tevin Jenkins, except he was under contract with them. So yeah, I like the Poles factor of it. I like the coach factor of it and familiarity. I like the talent factor of it. The price isn't horrible, but those injuries. I mean Lucas Patrick, Ryan Bates, Tevin Jenkins, the injuries on the interior offensive line haven't been good in recent history, and bringing in a guy who's one of those is not exciting to me.
I get it, man. I understand it. He missed pretty much almost the entire season on 13 games this year because he had a shoulder injury, had to have surgery, came back, and they benched him because they was getting offensive line continuity. That makes sense to me, because you hear, okay, he comes back and they bench him. Why did they bench him? He must not be that good. No, they were getting some continuity on that offensive line and making a playoff push, and you don't never want to mess that up if you can avoid it. And so it's not about the caliber of the player. They were just getting continuity, and you don't want to mess up that rotation if you don't have to. So I understood that part of it. But I'm telling you, from a football standpoint, purely football, and we will get into the details of this contract and what we're going to be paying this guy in just 1 second. But from a football standpoint, I know that we just got better. And Ryan Poles understood the assignment. Ben Johnson understood the assignment. So did Dan Roshar. We got to get some upgrades. We got to get some stability in this offensive line. And it's a good start. It's a really good start. Of course, we're still going to draft some guys, but this is a really good start. I'm talking about this from a pure football standpoint. This is a really good move. Now, we're going to go back and forth about what they have to pay him for the next couple of years, but it's a good football move, man. You just got not only flexibility, you got a dog, man, that can really, a tone setter, a Pro Bowler. Just think of what you just got for a 6th-round pick. Hopefully he comes in here and he's injured. I mean, he's healthy. Hopefully they check that out and did due diligence on that, and you're not getting a totally injured piece of product. You know what I mean? I think he did good, man. It's not exactly what I thought they would do, but I'm good with it. He was one of the guys that I had to study this offseason as far as the possibilities. Him, you got Mekhi Becton, all those guards that are on the market or available for trade or being considered for a trade. I had to check them out, man. Jonah is exactly what we need right now. But as far as football goes, one last thing before I get into the details of his contract trip. Anything else?
Yeah, I got the his games per year. In 2020, he played 14 starts at left guard, 2 at right guard. Mm-hmm. In 2021, he had 16 starts at left guard. In 2022, he had 13 starts at left guard. At 2023, he had 12 starts at left guard. And 2024, 2 starts at center, 1 at left guard, 1 at right guard.
Okay. Well, how you feel about that, man? Do you?
Well, I mean, it's not encouraging. It's not something that I go, yeah, we got this dude now. He can't stay on the field, but we got him. When he is on the field, he's a beast. It's like, Tevin Jenkins, he's not being re-signed because guess what? He can't stay on the field, but when he is on the field, he's a beast. I get that Jackson is an upgrade in talent, but the talent ain't no damn good if it's not on the field. And that's, my only reservation. It's a physical sport. I get it. Guys go down, they can recuperate. I get it. But, relying on a starting 5, a unit, which is what we all strive for an offensive line, that the left guard can start a sentence and it can pass on down and the right guard finishes that sentence. They're solid just like that. Jackson is a guy that's going to be in the lineup, out of the lineup, in the lineup, out of the lineup. Now he would be good in the meeting rooms. Because he has the knowledge, of what Ben Johnson likes, and they can communicate, which is why I believe Ben Johnson wants him. So he can help the development of the younger offensive lineman, even though he's only, 28, 29, so he's not old, but he's a veteran. So that presence I like as opposed to like a 30-something-year-old veteran. But he can be helpful. I understand that, and I appreciate that. But I just can't be like, all right, we're fixing this whole line now because we got a guy who hasn't, started a full season in, 4 years.
Well, I mean, that's the easy route to go down, looking at the
path of least resistance. Well, I'll take it. Yeah.
That's easy, but I'm gonna keep it one. Let me get this up, man, because
I want to be positive with it. I'm not knocking it, but it's not like I'm like, oh shit, Ryan Poles is making moves, baby. It's like, yeah, he's making moves. It's like, yeah, the move is like, yeah, okay, cool, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, it's like this, man. I only look at it from a football standpoint when we're talking about, injury and attrition. dollar amounts, all that stuff. Like he's a football player. He's gonna miss some game, every now and again. But I'm not so concerned about that, as a matter of fact, because I think throughout his history, he's shown way more consistency than he has shown. I'm gonna get nicked up for 5-8 games in a year. No, I don't see that. I see a guy that's played a lot of football, and over time, it's not like we're not gonna get some guys to back him up. We still have money to go get Zeitler. We're still gonna draft some dudes. We're gonna probably still do some more in free agency beyond Zeitler. You know what I mean? It's gonna be what'd you say?
This you mentioned Zeitler, you mentioned Becton. This free agent class is just horrible. And we're getting, the best of what's available, and that don't
not
make it
guard,
better. Well, I'm just looking at guard and the interior offensive line. I want to see here's what I want to see, and here's what I'm hoping Poles is striving for. A foundation built through the draft, maybe a free agent on the line, but something that we can have going forward where it's not a concern anymore, where it's like we don't have to worry about getting some 30-year-old guy to get you over the hump for a season or two, till we find a guy. I want our guys now. I understand that that's not always possible, but it's just like, we're signing a free agent or trading for a guy that, is not reliable or hasn't been reliable in recent history, or we're signing a free agent guy who's older veteran because he knows the system and he's the best available. I want a guy that I can get excited about. It's like, oh yeah, he knows he's got the talent. He hasn't had, the health issues. He's been reliable. He's going to be on the field. He's going to do his thing. And you don't have to think about him anymore because you can, boom. Guys like this, it's like, oh yeah, okay, we got to have him, but we got to have good backups because they are not reliable. And so now you got to have a backup that's damn near starter quality, hopefully, young guys, rookies. But you trade for Jackson, and let's say you sign a Zeitler, these are stopgaps. These are just get you over the hump, get you to the next time. I'm tired of the stopgaps. Let's address it. Let's fix it. Is Jackson a long-term, possible starter for this offensive line?
I think
he could be. I mean, like, you don't want to see it that way, but you're just not looking at it because it's there. It's just what you choose to look at.
Right, I'm just not focused on the Trip. It's not the. It's we know football, man. Dude. I don't care who you got in there. There's a likelihood that his ass is going to get hurt at some point. I don't care who it is. And so injury is a concern for every football player. If you let somebody's, light injury history, he doesn't have a heavy injury history. You let somebody's light injury history prohibit you from bolstering up your roster. I know this. We had a strong ass need at interior offensive lineman on this team. And we just got a strong ass football player to fill it. And, the flexibility that he's going to bring is one thing. And you don't have to stop here. You know what I mean? You don't have to stop here. You can continue. You can continue to add other presences through the draft and through free agency so that you're not putting all your hopes on this one football player. If he does go down, you don't have the depth in that room to replace somebody. And that goes for any position on the field, especially in the offensive line group. You hear Ben Johnson say they want to get 9-10 guys in there that are, pretty much replaceable at any given time. So you're still strong if somebody goes down. For sure, somebody's going to get nicked up. I'm just not focused on it, man. I know this is a good-ass football player, and he's a dog. I know that, and I know what he can bring to the table. But, that's just how I feel about it. Deal with injuries when you get there.
Oh, yeah, but there are multiple things going on. It's like, all right, you can get all the dogs, but can you afford them? Because now you're in the cap area. You can get all the dogs you want, but you got to have backups for them if they're not on the field. So you got to make sure you got the cap for all of that. So it's a general manager perspective versus just a player perspective as well.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the comments. I'm gonna get to them as I can, but let me get to the particulars of this contract. So so number one, Jonah Jackson is 6'4", 315 pounds, and he's 28 years old. Number one, that's good. That's right about where you want to get a veteran guard, somewhere around that age and that size. Bears will lose a 6th-round pick and will pay the remainder of his contract at approximately $9 million per. So it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 17.5. Split that in half, approximately $8-9 million a year. I think that's pretty good. You know, you just gave up a 6th-round pick for him for a surefire. You know exactly what you're going to get. Pro Bowl offensive guard. It's only 2 years left. Pretty much they'll be paying for the last couple of years of his contract. And I think that's to me, you know, given, you know, I don't want to hang all this on Ryan Poles. Again, he's getting marching orders from the guys that are going to cook the groceries. And so I think it's a sound pickup, man. And I understand the trepidation trips. Don't get me twisted, man. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, it's just also kind of irritating to me that not only do you have to pay a player, you know, 15 whatever million it is, but you got to give a pickup for him too. And it's like, wait a minute. Why? Wait. So if we're giving a pickup, you know, it's like the picks in the draft could be valuable, and those guys are under rookie contracts. You know, now we're absorbing this free agent deal and giving up draft capital, which draft capital is how you build your youth, how you find the talent and bring up the young guys and have them develop. So we're giving up that opportunity and giving up money for a guy that hasn't been reliable. So that's the trepidations.
Yeah. Y'all ain't gonna change your mind, and not in this next hour at all. And I understand it, man. It's just not. You know, I'm looking at this thing from a football standpoint. From a football standpoint, this thing makes all kinds of sense to me. There was gonna be a move and a trade for somebody. You know what I mean? They were gonna have to, whether doing it in a trade or whether grabbing somebody in free agency. Apparently, you know what I think probably happened, Trip, if I had to guess. I think Ryan Poles had his eyes on some guys in free agency to get, instead of giving up some picks or a pick, to get a guy that, you know, they probably particularly wanted, but it didn't come down to him. This looks like a Ben Johnson, Dan Rochar move to me. They want to get somebody that they're sure about, somebody they have experience with and knows that this guy's going to be able to come in here, not only give you some surefire stability, but be able to facilitate the transition of this offensive line and him being the spearhead of it. Now you got somebody that knows exactly what to do, knows what the symmetry looks like and the things that they're going to have to learn from each other to get some chemistry going. You probably just bent the curve a little bit as far as the learning curve goes by adding him. He's going to be able to help everybody else get adjusted, whether it's somebody else that comes in free agency, whether it's a draft pick. And so from that standpoint, that's another bonus.
Well, I was thinking that I wouldn't be surprised totally if they still went after a Zeitler in free agency because of the Johnson familiarity. You know, Zeitler's a left guard, isn't he? You know, so you bring in a free agent Zeitler, and then you've traded for Jackson. Now you got your starting left guard and backup left guard. You know, and those two guys. You know, could that be a route they're looking at?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of things on the table now. You know, and most of it is probably going to happen through free agency in the draft. I don't think they'll trade again for another interior. It could happen. You never know what's on the table inside Hallis Hall. But yeah, I think it's all going to come in free agency in the draft. I think maybe one or two more guys in free agency, and then they're just going to draft the hell out some offensive linemen.
Well, that's the question. You know, you keep saying, well, not you, but Poles keeps saying we want to build through the draft, but we'll keep trading away draft picks, you know, for free agents or you know, these guys, you know, who was a free agent like Jackson. You know, so how are we building through the draft if we're constantly giving up draft picks?
Yeah. I feel you. And you guys, I see y'all's comments telling me the numbers are probably wrong. It probably is. I I was up late last night and got up early this morning, was running around. And I heard about the news and I came in here and I just hurried up and put some stuff together. Man, those numbers are probably totally wrong, but that's what I learned. That's what I found out in a little bit of time, man. So I apologize for that if those numbers aren't accurate, man. I was just trying to put in the effort to get out here. We can have conversation about it. I might be totally wrong about those numbers, but I just feel good about it football wise. Trip. It ain't no like I just look at the film, man. I don't worry about some of the other stuff that people, especially somebody's salary cap. They're gonna pay for. To me, if you want quality, you pay for it. Like you get bullshit product. If you trying to rebuild your house and trying to fix up your home, and you getting everything you can get out of the Dollar Tree, you're gonna get exactly what you got coming. And so he's a quality guard, and they had to pay for it. And so that's what it is to me. I think we just got quality, and we just him and Han about the value of it, injury and nutrition and all that stuff.
Well, the him and Han about the value and the attrition, those are kind of big hems and haws. I mean, it's not like you just totally ignore it and be like, oh yeah, we got a Pro Bowl left guard, let's roll. In a very narrow perspective, yes, that is true. But there's a whole lot of other stuff going on with these players. And it's not that I'm, crying about losing a 6th-round pick. It's the goal of the team to build through the draft. And those 6th-round picks are, guess what? Picks. And it don't matter where you pick that as long as you are picked. So you identify that talent. Trey Smith, the guy that just got, franchise tag down there in Kansas City, the top offensive guard in the league. He was a 6th-round pick. So don't discount draft picks because they're later saying, oh, well, that's the 250th guy in the draft. Those guys had talent too. And that's what scouts in our scouting department are supposed to identify. There are position groups. I'm sure once you all break down your combine numbers and pro days, you'll see that there are position groups that are deep at a certain spot. So that means a talented offensive lineman or running back or whatever the deep positions are is going to fall, to that, 6th round, to where it's like, man, that's a 2nd, 3rd round talent right there. You can find those. And that's part of the draft and going through all the information and looking at all the numbers, looking at all the tape and the film. And it's like the draft is here, and it's like, oh, damn it, we got one less draft ticket unless we trade back, which is a possibility. Yay. But, Jackson, he looks like a good player when he's on the field. And just detrimental for his case is his availability. If he's a player and he can ball out, we good. Then we sign Zietler as, his bridge backup, and we got the left guard spot, pretty solidified. So now, you still got right guard, center. What are we doing there? Not sure. Left tackle, where we're not sure. Whereas we know, knock on wood, that right tackle, right. Everything else is like, we don't know. And just getting just get you over the hump guys to put in front of, our now 2nd-year quarterback is like, what continuity are we building? What continuity are they building? How long is this sustainable? When are we going to solidify this damn offensive line in these trenches? That's all I want to know. Just tell me that. Answer that question.
Well, look, I tell you this much. Now here's probably the most important thing to know is understanding they have an assignment, right? And you could have kept that pick, and you could have gone to free agency, and there's other guys there. Either way, you're gonna come off some money somewhere around the similar money, $9-10 million a year for one of those guys. But is it the guy that you're looking for? Is it the guy that Ben Johnson is looking for. Apparently not. They thought that Jonah Jackson is more of, I know this guy and I know what he can do, bring him into the building. Okay, we're going to make sure he can pass a physical and all that kind of stuff. Let's get some insurance there and let's get him his guy. And so it's already people ready to hang this on Poles. Like, Poles is this terrible GM. That ain't got nothing to do with Poles.
No.
None at all. This is what Ben Johnson and Dan Rochar want. And so if we're going to trust these coaches and these position coaches, the head coach, and all these guys that just came in the building, then you do that. And you give them exactly what they're asking for. If Jonah Jackson is who we wanted, then Jonah Jackson you get. But just assure me that you're going to build this thing the right way. And if this is a good start for you, let's do it. But the truth is, he just gave him Tevin Jenkins his money. And, by all accounts, it's understandable to me that Tevin Jenkins didn't get that purse right there. That probably was Tevin Jenkins' money. But he didn't get it. Now, I still think I'm spending all this time, Triple R, I'm all over this draft and all over these players. In my heart of hearts, I do believe that we could have got everything we needed out of the draft. But I know that they're going to have to get some veterans in this room and have a good mixture of that kind of talent. You got young talent and you got some veterans that have been there and done it. And this is the first start of setting up the room that way. You just got exactly what you need to get yourself started. Cost you a little bit, cost you a draft pick, a late draft pick, cost you a little bit of money. But if that's what it takes to get this ball rolling, I'm 110% in it.
I get that. And Wednesday on Extra Sauce, 8 p.m. Central. Make sure you're tuning in. Nomad Network. Yep. When Kids is here, I want him to pull up the a draft projection and just see who's projected in that general area of where the 6th round pick, and it'd be like, let's do would you rather have this prospect or Jackson? Because they're projected to be in that area. That would be a fun little game to play. But what?
No, go ahead. Go
ahead. But I can see the team building aspect of this is probably going to resemble the coaching building aspect of this. You got older guys, you got younger guys that are, and everything in between. So I can see them signing another veteran, but then getting 3-4 rookies on the offensive line, specifically talking about the offensive line, to bring in to learn, but compete as well. If they're good enough and, beat out, a Zeitler or a Jackson or whoever it may be to start as a rookie, welcome aboard. I think this coaching staff would let them play. The talent will play. So I'm not mad at bringing in a couple old guys, but it doesn't excite me, Mercedes Lewis, this is the Mercedes Lewis, not Jackson, but Zeitler can be the Mercedes Lewis of the offensive line as long as Mercedes Lewis ain't here no more.
I know one thing, Trip. If you were to look at some film on this guy, especially the Detroit film, is probably the best thing to look at. I've seen some Rams film on him, solid. But the Detroit film, they were doing a different thing there, more or less. Let's just say they both ran wide zone, but Detroit, especially in the ground game, is where you would find that guy to be very, very attractive when they were running the ball. And you see this guy getting out on the 2nd and 3rd level, getting down the field, opening up holes and lanes for these guys to run through. I mean, that's the stuff that excites me. Looking at the film, I know what he's going to bring to the table. It's just really good football player. I got him make the Pro Bowl for nothing, man. That dude was really good when he was down there. I don't think they really want to let him go, but they had to do what they had to do. But to your point about, we'll make sure tomorrow on some Extra Sauce, we do a mock-up scenario because we got just a little bit more information with him now being in the building. So I'll tell you what it makes me think, Trip. It makes me think they are pretty sure, and I am pretty sure, just for the record, that there's going to be some really, really nice pieces to get mid to late round in this draft at guard to be able to buffer that situation and make sure we got some youth in the building. That's going to be some, like every week I put up 3, 4, 5 dogs that I know is going to be somewhere in the thick of that. And they've got picks down there. And you're talking about high caliber football players with some great traits. and a coach that really knows what to do with those traits, man, dude, the young boys are going to come in. They're going to be right on his behind, man. I'm telling you, they're going to get some good players in this draft. They almost can't miss mid to late rounds with some of these big old boys, man. These dudes can play. I'm telling you, we're gonna definitely mock that up come tomorrow. But I'm telling you, man, it's some we won't be in need of anything as far as the offensive line goes. Where I know the meat of that draft is going to be, they got picks all up and through there, and they got a chance to get some more if they just move a piece or two around.
Well, that's the mind game and the reason that Ryan Poles gets paid what he gets paid. You know why he has a job, because they got all of those scenarios playing out, and that's why I get confused myself sometimes, as you can see from the Continent Sports Chicago style, that sometimes you're looking at it from the perspective of a GM, sometimes from the perspective of the coach, sometimes from the perspective of a player level. Sometimes it's just like a meathead ass fan, so it just depends on what hat I'm wearing, wink, wink, at the time that makes me think of these things. But in building what we want in the offensive line, we'll take veterans. It will take young guys. It will take a mixture of all that. And if as long as the guys we're bringing in, like Jackson traded for, are dogs, even if they're not available, just bring in all dogs. The RAS high RAS score guys, yeah, okay, aim small, miss small. What is that movie? The Patriot? Aim small, miss small. So if you get super uber athletic guys and you can coach them up, we good to go. So bringing in dogs, I'm never opposed to.
And there are plenty of them. We're in the meat of this draft. I think everybody's going to get so excited about the first round and maybe the second round. And and for whatever reason, people tend to think that the draft tends to tail off after that. Man, dude, it's like there's only less than 300 people that get drafted. And it's like I got hundreds of guys that I think have like seriously blue chip traits. And I keep showing it every week. Like later on in this draft is all you got to do is just believe in what you see and have some conviction, trust in your coaches, and you got some animals down there. You got some animals. They're going to get young in that room, and they're going to get a whole lot better than it's been looking, especially with a veteran O-line coach in there. And I believe they know exactly what they're looking for. And so I'm excited about that part of it. This is just the beginning. We're going to get into a mock draft scenario tomorrow night on some extra sauce.
Mm-hmm.
But it's to me, I'm excited, man, because I just look at the tape, man. That's probably why I'm the way I am.
Well, for you draft prognosticators and tape watchers and now, especially this time of year when there is no football and we just had the combine and the pro days are coming up. Now, every fan is going to be a draft expert. And no, it's like, well, we need this guy, and this guy, all based on 40 times or RAS scores or whatever. And it's like, no, you got to look at the tape. And it's like, well, blah, blah, blah. And then that's going to be the argument for the next several months. But where the talent identifiers should really separate themselves is being able to find, those gems in the late rounds. How many times are you going to argue over, this year it's Membu or Will Campbell, those 1, 2, 3 names that you always hear, find those 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round guys. It's like, yeah, that guy, he keeps falling. And then you take them and it's like, yeah, that was the guy. And you're just satisfied you need to smoke a cigarette or something. So everybody that's like, well, look at my draft guide here, look at my draft guide there. It's like, when you get down and dirty with it, how good are your scouting skills? Now, the prognosticators, like watching us, we don't have all the information. We don't have the medicals. We don't have the interviews. We don't have all of the, inside dirt. Right. So that's that. But talent-wise, go beyond the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round and see, where your bread is buttered. That's what I want to see from all you draft peoples.
So, and I feel like I've been doing yeoman's work in that category, Trips. I've been working straight up balls to the wall, man, and getting out as much as I could, getting out as much information about these guys as I can so people can check them out. Two guys I think about when you're talking about getting late in the draft, and you guys already seen these guys, but I'm going to just reiterate, just seeing the traits and knowing what they can bring to a football field. Charles Grant out of William and Mary, man. He's playing tackle at William and Mary, but if you watch him play, you're talking about a guy that's going to be drafted. I think it's a good chance he can get drafted in the middle of the draft, maybe 4th or 5th round, but might happen 7th, could be after the draft. I don't know. But he's one of those guys where you can see the traits and you can see how you can see how those traits really could, I want to say the right word, but I can't find it. Transform into a starting guard or starting center in the NFL. I can see it already. So guys like him, Nash Jones out of Texas State, another guard, somebody that you might want to consider playing him at center. Marcus Bowe out of let me make sure I got that right. I think out of Purdue. Guys like that, if you really are about your football and you have chops inside the Hallis Hall, these guys are going to get drafted later and maybe not at all, but the value. That's why I made that video the other day about the UDFA market for the Bears are going to be rich. And so I think they should make sure the back end of that contract is no heavy weight on it, man. That dead weight down there, there's some guys you probably need to part ways with just to make sure you can fill up this roster with some of this UDFA talent because it's rich.
Now, speaking of talent, I would like, as you clip this live, Nomad, include this portion as an invitation. Big Bulldog Ty, our friend from the Twitter, who has the HBCU love for Vincent. Here, let me just read you this. It'll be a lot easier. And this could be part of the clip as the invitation. But she she put some motivational takes from Chicago Bears fans on Carson Vincent and put up the clip that we did on Extra Sauce about Carson Vincent. And then kids replied, hey, thanks for the love, the crew. We appreciate you, pleasantries. You know how kids do. And then Ty responded, watch the combine. What did y'all think? And then I responded, hey, would you be interested in coming on a Wednesday show, Extra Sauce, or, whenever available, to discuss HBCU prospects and other goings on? And Ty responded, unfortunately, I will not be able to, but let me point you in the right direction. Who can speak on Carson and HBU guys better than me? And those people are at Zach McKinnell, at Coach Huggins, and at Light on Sports. So the three of you consider this an invitation to join us here on the Nomad Network and talk draft prospect, football, HBCUs, and all that fun stuff. Hit us up on the Twitter at the Nomad Network or Sports Chicago style, or look at the tag that you are in on Twitter that I sent to you and respond there. We look forward to hearing from you and hope that 1, 2, or all three of you can join as your schedules allow, and let's talk some ball.
I appreciate that, Trip. I haven't been on Twitter in a long time, and I just looked on there yesterday, and I was busy doing something, so I didn't really read out the conversation, but I could see that the networks was being tagged and you were talking to somebody, so I will double back on that and take a look. So, yeah, by the way, you guys, we would really appreciate you guys coming on here to be able to talk some ball and talk about some of the HBCU guys, because I want to do an HBCU show. There's another kid out of Jackson State called, I think his name is Aaron Smith, a linebacker, straight animal. Another guy, one of those guys that you just, if you're willing to look at the tape, there's talent all over the HBCU ranks, man. I haven't even gotten to all of them. I only did maybe 2 or 3 teams so far, but it's still a plethora of teams down there. But I do want to do a show that emphasizes, some of the talent down there. There's some dogs at the HBCU level. Just some of those guys, like the one I did the other day on Phillip Webb. This guy he's had all the traits. He was signed by LSU. And he just couldn't get on the field early because some of the veteran guys that were there, and he got a little frustrated and ended up going down to Jackson State. But you're talking about a blue chip talent out of high school. It shows up on the field at Jackson State. He's 6'5", 265 pounds. I didn't make that video for nothing. He's an animal. And he's exactly the kind of guy that Dennis Allen is looking for. He's got the body type and traits, everything. But yeah, thank you for that, Tris, man. I'll follow up with you on Twitter. I'll get on there and see what's going on, see what we can do to get that show popping off.
Yeah, so just make sure you clip this portion and we tag everybody, and then we'll post it up.
All right.
But it's like, oh no, you should jump in their DMs and contact them. It's like, hey, we on a podcast, we talk. Hey, y'all want to join us? No Maniacs, Nomad Network. It's an open invitation. We tell it over the air, this is not air. What is this? The digital ones and twos.
Yeah. Hey man, we know football over here, guys. Just be rest assured you're gonna come over here and you're gonna talk to football people. It's not gonna be like one of those silly Billy podcasts where don't nobody really know what they're talking about and they need your expertise. There's some expertise over here too, but we definitely would love to have yours here so we can go back and forth about what you're seeing, because I'm seeing a lot on the HBCU level, and I'd love to have somebody to talk football about it with.
And now, isn't it true that a lot of the HBCU athletes don't get invited to the combine?
A lot of times, yes. It's hard it's rare to see a HBCU athlete. I think Carson Vincent was the first one in quite some time. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure there's not very many of them. It's not that nobody else is worthy. Like Irv Mulligan from Jackson State, tough, super tough running back, super duper tough. But we'll get to him, man. We'll make sure we do something and make sure we show him some love, because there's other teams like the mid majors. You got your Toledos of the world where Darius Alexander comes from. You got your Marshalls. You got your, Ohio University, Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio has a dog down there now by the name of Brian Ugwu, and I just probably shouldn't have said that because somebody might jump and try to do a little video on him, but he's a dog. But yeah, it's talent everywhere, man. You just got to be willing to watch some football.
Well, before there's some breaking news. Also, check your Twitter feed.
This right here.
But before we get off of the subject, we all as Bear fans have a very soft spot in our heart for a former Jackson State running back.
Oh, yeah.
By the name of Walter Sweetness Payton. So any love to the HBCUs that we can show as a network to promote, some of the talent, some of the, the prospects, what's going on in these schools, the Nomad Network, hit us up.
Man, this is where you want to be. If you want to know about these college players and what, just if you want to at least be able to identify who to go look at on film, if you're not subscribed to the channel, you're probably doing yourself a disservice. If you really want to know more and you don't really have time to be searching through all these guys to see who to watch first, because there's thousands of guys out there. You need a channel out there that's going to itemize, exactly who to go and look at. And I think we've been doing a damn good bang up job of doing that. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, probably should, man, because there's a bunch more coming out. I just did an all-nighter last night about a bunch of guys. And it's going to be that show. I guess we can do a couple of them on some extra sauce to give you guys a little bit extra, and then we'll do that show on Friday. But yeah, I've been doing a whole bunch of work. There's a lot more guys to talk about, y'all, just so you know. But did you see this Nick Rimberg comment per Jeremy Fowler? They're letting Jack Sanborn hit free agency, and they're not going to tender him. I kind of saw that coming, man.
Yeah, Jack Hammer, he was a very good find in the UDFA linebacker market, out of Wisconsin up there. He's a baller. He's a football player. He was just lacking in the coverage department, but coming downhill, he would fill his gap. He makes tackles. He didn't miss tackles. He's a smart kid, and I wish him all the best. That was a good find by Ryan Poles in the scouting department. We need more of that. I would like to have, been able to flip him for a little something if we could have, but I'm just being greedy. But, I do wish Jack Hammer luck and still look forward to the change that's going to be taking place with the personnel on this team to suit the new coaching staff, the new schemes on both sides of the ball. And we're going to have to say, bye to, a lot of favorites, guys that you may own their jerseys. change is inevitable, and let's embrace it. Let's wish the kids luck as they go on out there, and I'm sure he's going to pick up on a team someplace, and he'll be able to start and do his thing.
Yeah.
So we're right in the season now where it's like the comings and goings of the squad, baby. That is exciting for those of us who want to see the change, but just make sure it's a positive change.
I remember I think I did a video on it talking about it. I believe I did, but I talked about it on shows and different. And so I think this is what's going to happen. More likely than not, I know where the need is on these different teams. It's going to be either probably Jacksonville, or more than likely, it'll probably be Dallas that ends up offering them some money. And you had to get to this point sooner or later because you spent some draft capital on Noah Sewell, and these linebackers are so good, Noah Sewell couldn't even see the field. And so if you want to ever see what you got in Noah Sewell, this is one way to do that. You got to clear our room so that he can get on the field. And I did on the show, I did the comparison. Noah Sewell is exactly the kind of linebacker that Dennis Allen prefers. The size, the speed, everything about his traits is exactly a Dennis Allen type. I did that, made sure that was a point that we made. But yeah, in order for Noah Sewell for us to see what Noah Sewell can bring to the field, the possibility that Jack Sanborn might not be on this team. Well, I got my dome tore off, but I was just putting it out there for people to think about, man. It wasn't nothing personal. People just love Jack Sanborn, man, but we love our players. They tore me up about it.
Well, he's how does Stacey King put it, announcer for the Bulls, heart, hustle, muscle guy?
Oh yeah.
He's a local kid from the Chicagoland area. So you get those ingrained, entrenched fans that are possibly family or played ball with him, that were happy to see him get signed by the Bears. You got the Wisconsinites who are going to support him, and TJ Edwards, who is also a linebacker up there. But physically he's not what they require anymore. So he's going to go and he's going to be jackhammering wherever he is because he's a baller. The excitement now is who is going to replace him. Will it be Sewell? Sewell has had his issues himself with injury and being available. He couldn't crack the starting lineup, obviously. But when he was on special teams, he was active. He was always around the ball or making a play. But it's just keeping him on the field is going to be the main thing, I believe, with Mr. Noah Sewell.
Yeah, I tried to point out to people the difference in, like, all you had to do is look at Noah Sewell's film when he's at Oregon. Look at the traits that Matt Eberflus's defense provides. And so the way that defense was set up didn't necessarily play into Noah's strengths per se. And so if you watch Noah Sewell at Oregon, it translates better in Dennis Allen's scheme than it does Matt Eberflus, which is more of a zone-based scheme, and his first steps are backwards, right? As opposed to in Dennis Allen's scheme where his first four steps are forward and he can be aggressive and play downhill. That's where Noah Sewell thrives. And so to me, it just makes nothing but sense. Nothing but sense. Not to say that he's going to end up being one of the starters, but I know one thing. I know that Dennis Allen probably saw that film and was just like, man, he was just playing like a fish out of water in the zone and having the cover and doing all that stuff that you have to do in cover 2 and cover 3 for a linebacker. Now we won't be asking them to do a whole lot of that.
Wait a minute. Wasn't that what Sanborn's specialty was, coming downhill?
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you spend a fifth rounder to get this. You want to see what you got. You want to see what you got. Not to say that Jack Sanborn can't get it done. He would absolutely thrive in this system. It's just that you gotta give a little bit to get a little something. That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. If the time comes to make that choice, you would still think that Sewell has a brighter upside, I would think.
Mm-hmm. 110%. I do think he has a bigger upside, but we can talk about that on some extra sauce, man. Get it cracking on that show. You guys don't forget tomorrow, man. At what is it? 8 p.m. Central, Trips?
That is correct.
Okay, so don't miss some extra sauce at 8 p.m. Central.
And we still here?
Yeah, we still here.
All right. And then we can discuss some other breaking news around the NFL, like Devontae Adams being released by the Jets. We can talk about the Eagles and Saquon Barkley agreeing on a 2-year, $41 million contract extension, making him the highest paid running back in the NFL history.
That's a nice. The running back market is just Saquon and Big Boy from Baltimore just did the running backs of the future a big huge favor, man, by upping their values.
Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm.
They really upped the values, man. Appreciate you guys for coming. Let me shout you guys out the best I can. Foster, Ron C, Nick Rembert, Scrolls. Let me think. Victor Perez. Let me think. Let me scroll back up a little bit and see some names real fast. Ant Moss up in here. Legit Packers fan, man. Thank you for coming, you mother. Thank you for coming.
King Buka.
Kenny Adams, Crooked Commish, King Booker World, Bears fan Goober, my guy Nick, real Bears fan. That's probably I know who that is. Let me see who else came up in here and was talking.
Marlon Johnson.
Marlon Johnson. I didn't see Marlon, but Porter Ellison the third, Porter D. Ellison the third, Yeshua Reigns. Let me see. Let me make sure I got everybody. I can. Let me see. We got some names in here that I've seen for the first time, and I just want to make sure I touch them up. Let me see. Got to Kenny Adams, right? Let me see. Porter Ellison, it's the first time I've ever seen you in the chat. Welcome in, man. Welcome to the community. Thanks for being part of the family, man. Come on back again and again. Let me see. I think we touched pretty much everybody that I can see.
And if we did miss you, it wasn't intentional. Just come back and say some more.
White Ghost. I wish we could have got to more comments, man. They had a lot of questions in here, but we'll make up for it tomorrow. White Ghost. I think I mentioned Foster, Ron C. Yeah, that's everybody, I think, man. But thank you guys for being here. Trips, you got any final words before we get up out of here and get ready for extra sauce tomorrow?
Just invite everyone that's tuning in and make sure you subscribe to my channel, Sports Chicago Style. We got some nice lifestyle, holistic content coming at you, from the recipes with Chef Trips, the exercise vlogs with Trip, and then Coach Tripping and Trip with their exercise self-defense Trip Kundo thing. So we got the sports talk and, the Bears, and we touch on the Bulls, the Hawks, the Cubs, the Sox, the Chicago sports, or sports Chicago style.
Hey, Marlon Johnson, I would give this I'm gonna be optimistic and give this one an A, man. But I think it's gonna go a long way to fortifying fortifying what we need to do in the trenches to really get after dudes. I'm gonna give it an A. Do I like the fact that we had to make a trade to make it happen? Not so much, but I'm glad that I'm glad about the player. I think it's a good move, and I don't think this is a Ryan Poles move. This is a Ben Johnson and Dan Rochar move. I wouldn't worry and look no further into it than that, man. I think they got exactly what they came looking for, man. So I just want to see you guys. I want to see you guys. Make sure you guys come in here tomorrow, man, because we're gonna kick it up in here like an MF, like we always do, man. And we're gonna have a good time doing it. But I want to leave you guys with these famous words: if you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not, and I repeat, do not be a prisoner of your own mind. But with that being said, we are out.